for writing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite about this? What do you think the uniqueness of this project?
Location. I think you just can't beat it. There is nothing, the lack of stock in that area and the view of the water. There's other residential blocks around it that we've sold, but none with the view it has, combined with the fact it's freehold. Like those two things, I think, by far stand out. There's a lot of equivalent projects that have great spec and really high and beautiful level of finish, but that is in terms of location and in terms of the freehold capability or option is the best thing about it.
So that's the unique.
That is the unique selling. Like, I think you get to a certain price point where you know the spec's going to be good on everything, and there's points of differential. Like, my personal favorite part about it is when you look at the view and you look at all the photos and you look out the window, a lot of Sydney is curved and that is that curved shape. And what they've done is they've brought that design into the apartment. So the designers and the interiors have made a conscious effort that everything about the apartment, even down to like the marble on the kitchen tables, all has these beautiful curved edges, and I think that is really what makes it stand out and slightly different, and just gives it that unique edge.
What do you think, if to Hong Kong investors, what do you think they're gonna like about this project?
I think for Hong Kong investors, the thing that's going to draw them to this is it is once in a lifetime opportunity to buy in this part of the world. Like, it is. I know Hong Kong, we love like a flagship building. We love something that's sort of like a, real standout, one of a kind. And this truly is. Like, it often gets thrown around a lot in the property worlds, but this is really a once in a generation opportunity. There will never be the chance to have a residential unit that is freehold facing that view ever again. And being built by one of the biggest, if not the biggest developer in the world in Lend-Lease, you're combining like their expertise and build quality with that location. It's just the perfect sort of match, really.
If people ask you for recommend investors, well, let's be very specific, Hong Kong investors asking for about recommendation about in terms of their investing or living, how would you recommend?
So I think what will be interesting here is investors, I don't think will necessarily be buying to rent it out. I think it's the sort of property people are buying to hold in their family forever. So even what we're seeing in Australia is the Australians will buy it and they won't ever rent it out. They'll just keep it within their unit. It might be their second home, third home, but they'll buy it forever because they want to pass it to their kids, because there's no inheritance tax in Australia. So a big plus for that as well. So I think the investment piece is really, there's no more stock coming in that area. So you want to buy and just hold it forever. It's not the sort of thing, I don't think units are going to trade very quickly and very often, because it's not that type of product. People will buy and hold long time, multiple generations. You'll hopefully pass it down to kids, might pass it down to their kids. It's that type of product.
And if you can give any of the examples for the similar, like similar project but in other international market, in other countries.
So I'm just trying to think of what would be sort of similar in sort of key tier 1 cities. It would be the equivalent of a new build development on the Peak in Hong Kong. It would be the equivalent of something, there's the developments coming up in London on the River Thames opposite, the ones behind, done by Canary Wharf Group behind the London Eye, those iconic views that look over sort of the Eye, Thames, Big Ben, those one in a sort of generation buildings that view can only be got by one specific development, and it's that. So there's always a premium for that, but at the top end, that part of the market is always super active.
Okay. How is the general feedback of this event?
So far the event has been really well received. So we had a cocktail event last night, absolute full house, about 100 plus people with us, which was great. And what I find really interesting about this is the first time this market has ever gone to press internationally. It's all been word of mouth, our own connections. And the interest in it, just to learn more, to understand the location, to look at the offering is huge. I think people realise that there is, there's a big chance they will miss out because they're selling so well. Often salespeople say that, but the proof is in the pudding. They've 70% are sold to Australian nationals, not overseas buyers, not Hong Kong, Chinese buyers, just just Australian-based, Australian passport holder nationals. And I always say the best way to judge a development is if the locals buy it and the locals want to live in it. That shows it's a good product, good price, and good everything. It's always the best sign.
That's good. And compared to other luxury housing, the luxury housing in other market, how do you see in Sydney in particularly?
Sydney's always rated in the top 5 sort of tier cities. So you look at places like New York, London, you've got in Asia, you've got Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo. But in terms of Australia, it's number 1, I would say, in terms of ratings and prices achieved. Sydney already has the record for the most expensive real estate sold, and we expect this development to beat that record. Lenleys currently hold the record anyway, so they're just basically outbeating themselves.
That's good. Any other essentials that you would like to share?
No, I think if anyone wants details, obviously contact CBRE. We have teams on the ground. There's a show suite people can go and have a look at. But I really do believe if, the second this goes to press and it's starting to go that way, the world tour is starting. They're off on to London where there's a big event happening in London. This development will be sold out in the next 6 months. So if people want to get in on it, then they need to act pretty fast.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.